I love each and every one of those songs, so it's perfect today. So excited to hear it, just listening to it. Just refreshes, renews, and just pumps me up, and I love it. My name is Taylor. I am the Preaching Intern here at StoneBridge. I am so happy that you all could be here. Before we dig into everything, I kind of just want to explain something to you. I'm not wearing shoes. I explained it last time I was preaching, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but I'm just going to summarize it in saying it's biblical and I'm unbalanced. So we're just going to leave it at that and move on. Was anyone woken up by the storm last night? I know that I was, and when I saw the lights flashing outside of my room, I did not think, oh, there's a storm. I thought, oh, the neighbors must be having a party. Good for them. I mean, maybe I felt lonely and I just wanted to join. I don't know. But when I woke up this morning, I looked outside and it had stormed. I was a little bummed out because I thought I might get invited next time. But anyways, that's besides the point. We finished a sermon series, Summer on the Mount. We went all summer going through Jesus' most famous sermon. It was great, and it was this uphill battle dealing with things that are deep inside our heart. But we're going to start something new today. And in preparation for this message, I started reminiscing about past jobs that I had had. I've worked for a city, a camp, a few schools, and now a church. And it got me thinking, all of them have one thing in common. I have been able to go barefoot, which is probably why I picked the jobs that I did. I mean, sometimes there are suggestions to wear shoes, but I took it as that. It wasn't a rule, so I was okay. But looking at different jobs that we can have, some of them are awesome. We really enjoy, and some of them, they're okay. They're nothing we would want to ever do again. But a lot of times, the factor is not what we're actually doing, but who we're doing it with. So no matter what you've done, no matter what job you've had, you have either or you know someone who has had a horrible boss. Those people that can take an okay job or even something enjoyable and make it miserable. There are those who are the full-out bully. They just nitpick and get at you and get under your skin. There are those that are the space case. They don't know what the heck is going on, and you can't believe that they're in charge of you. And then there's the micromanager. Every little thing you do, they have their hands in, and you think of yourself as merely a puppet, and you serve no purpose. Horrible bosses, they can destroy even the most amazing jobs. There's an article from CNBC, and it says, have a bad boss, treat him like a toddler. That is not the message series that we're doing, so don't get too excited. But what they say is, you think you have a bad boss? Join the club. Nearly 1 in 2 employees say that they have had a bad boss, according to the administrative staffing firm Office Team. Do an internet search for "my boss is killing me," and it turns up more than 20 million results. People waste a lot of time stressing out about bad bosses, and it doesn't end at the front door. On average, employees spend about 19.2 hours a week worrying about what their boss says or does, including a whopping 13 hours during the work week and 6.2 of their weekend hours. And what's more, they can cost the company money. 77% of employees experience physical symptoms from stress, such as heart problems. Stress employees cost employers nearly twice as much for healthcare costs, roughly $600 more per person per year on average. My boss is killing me. That's what people search. That's what's going on. But this message series is what a way to make a living. We are going to tackle one of the most difficult things, and one of those things that us Christians, we need to get right, that we just bypass: the workplace. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we have a really horrible reputation in the workplace. Christians are seen as lazy and careless and are always trying to get those holidays off. It's sad, but it's true. But something is about to change because there's a new boss in town. Colossians 3:23 through 25 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ, for the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality." This passage tells us that no matter who our earthly boss is, whether good or bad, we're serving a bigger boss, the original boss. God is this new boss, and his management style is very different from anything that we are used to. He is changing the environment of the workplace, and we can no longer be the Christians that have the reputation that we do. Things are going to have to change, and movement is going to have to happen. But before we dig into what we look like as employees, we need to see who this God is. Who are we serving? Who is this boss that is coming in and changing everything? I went to the Global Leadership Summit put on by the Willow Creek Association a couple weekends ago. It was amazing, and there was all these speakers that just really dug into what it means to be a leader and what leadership really is. And one of those was Liz Wiseman. She's the president of the Wiseman Group, a Silicon Valley leadership development firm. And she talked about who God is as a boss. She didn't mean to intentionally, of course, but everything she said, it hit me. And I thought, since God is the original boss, the original leader, this must have come from him. Liz talked about multipliers. And what a multiplier is they bring out the best thinking, the best work, and those that they are surrounded by. I mean, God was able to take us from the dust of the earth into a beautiful creation. He is the original multiplier. But she didn't just stop there with what the definition of a multiplier was. She dug into 5 disciplines of a multiplier. And today, we are going to look at every single one of those and see how it relates to God. Because before we can serve this boss, before we can work for him, we really have to understand what he's all about. So I have my handy-dandy book from the Global Leadership Summit. I actually did go. I didn't just Google all this. So the 5 disciplines of being a multiplier. The first one, the talent magnet. This person attracts talented people and uses them at their highest points of contribution. Do you have a talent? Do you have a skill? Do you have something that you're really good at? Do you think that that is a coincidence? Not at all. You were designed for something. That thing that makes your heart pound, the thing that makes you excited, the thing that you would love to do for the rest of your life, that you find fulfillment in. That's God-given. And not just God-given so we can use our time, but so that we can do something bigger for the kingdom. Like a screwdriver. We all know it has one single purpose. And when it is fulfilling that function, it becomes perfect. And aren't we all trying to find our purpose in this world? What's the purpose of living? Purpose-driven life. That's all we talk about. But what it is being able to fill what we have been given and use it for what we are supposed to use it for. So let me give you an example. Let's say a mechanic. Someone who maybe tinkered when they were younger, maybe went to a trade school, and now works in an auto body shop. They find fulfillment, joy, they're good at what they do, but something starts pulling on their heart. They look at the community and they look how much money is being spent on auto repairs, and they actually know the cost of what it is. They see their neighbor struggling, the car won't start, and they know the money is not there for them to get it fixed. So you go over and you say, I'll take a look at it. No problem. I'll see what I can do. You fix it. You maybe even have to spend a little money on it. But the person you fixed it for is eternally grateful for you. And you walk away with a smile knowing you have done something bigger than yourself. Knowing that this one thing you did was not selfish. It was something you did just to help someone out. Put a smile on their face, and they ask you, can I do something for you? I don't have much money, but let me give you something. And you say, no, it's okay. It's okay. I wanted to. And they come back with, the world isn't this way. The world isn't nice. The world isn't generous. It doesn't just help people out. And you say, well, I work for someone different. Let me introduce you to my boss. God will take you at your highest contribution point when you are doing the thing that you love to do, the thing that you are good at, and he will use it to further the kingdom in ways that you had never imagined. Are you a baker? How many times do we need bake sale stuff? It is a way to reach the kingdom by doing something that you love to do. It is simple, but it will happen. So how are you going to respond? The next one, the liberator, creates an intense environment that requires people's best work and thinking. What is the first and greatest commandment? To love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is to love your neighbor as yourself. Those are commandments and those are expectations for us. I don't believe that God hovers over us, making sure that we are always doing the right thing. He isn't watching us all the time, critiquing everything we do, but he's there. That creates an intense environment. There was a study done with 2 classes. One had a student with lower GPAs, and the other had a group of students with higher GPAs, but the teachers thought the opposite. The teacher thought she had the highest students when she really had the lowest, and the other teacher thought she had the lowest when she really had the highest. And you know what the results were? The teacher with the lowest, I thought they had the highest, she pushed them. There were expectations there. It was an intense environment, and they were expected to do their work. They weren't allowed to slack off or just get by. And what happened? Their grades were phenomenal, and change happened. But the other class, with a teacher who thought those kids were nothing. She didn't push them. She didn't try to make them be something better or to reach higher. And those grades reflected it. Their best thinking and their best work did not happen because there was no expectations. God places expectations so that we can try to meet those. And I know that we're not perfect people and that we're going to fail sometimes. But the fact that those expectations are there are going to push us to love people like we have never loved them before, and to worship God in a way that is so close and intimate that we know him. You are going to take from where you are now and be driven to who you were created to be, your best work and your best thinking, simply because expectations are there. The third, the challenger, defines an opportunity that causes people to stretch. In every book of the Bible, there are these Bible heroes who have done amazing and crazy things for God. But you know what? All of them had doubts. All of them had fears. They were not good enough. They were not smart enough. They were not talented enough. They were not enough. They were not qualified. They were not able. But what they did do was say yes. No matter what they were lacking, they were willing to see that challenge and to meet it. That's who God is as a challenger. He doesn't expect you to be perfect, to be the best at anything, but he will call you. And if you are willing, you will be able to do amazing things for the kingdom, because that is who he is as a leader. You will stretch and you will grow, whether what you did failed or succeeded. It's a challenger. I bet you that you all have certain visions, certain desires of your heart. And you think there's no way that's going to happen. There's no way I am going to reach that. There's no way I can ever do it because I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't have those resources. Maybe that vision was put on there by God. Not for you to do by yourself, but for you to rely on Him. For you to accept that challenge and to grow and to find the place that you're supposed to be and become the person you're supposed to be because you accepted that challenge. There are so many times in our life where we deny challenges. We run in fear. And we regret and we look at what could have been. And there are those times when we accept those challenges and we look back and say, I never would have thought I could have done that, but I did it, and look where I am now. That's God as a challenger, pushing us and stretching us. And the fourth one, the debate maker, drives sound decision through rigorous debate. Have you ever prayed? I'm not talking about a dinner prayer. I'm talking about weeping, sobbing, yelling, screaming, fist pounding on the ground, on your knees, praying to God. We claim to be close to God, but we can't even argue with Him. We say, oh God, you're good. And that is so true. But we are not raw with Him. We're not real with Him. Do you realize that the book of Psalms is a collection of poetry, of words to God by hurt and broken people, and they're not nice. They are raw, and the things that they say, we would have never thought to say. Say, God, I'm crying, I'm weeping, my enemies are surrounding me, my health is fading. What are you doing? You're messing up, you have it wrong. I'm praying to you, and they're falling on deaf ears. They say that. And what do we say? Oh, thank you, Jesus. Thank you for everything. When there's so many things going on. We can fight with our family. Those are the people we fight with the most because we're closest to them. But with God, if we were close as we say we are, we'd be able to fight with Him, to debate with Him. And the great thing is at the end of almost every psalm, there's resolution. They say, God is good. Praise be to God. You have rescued me. You have taken me out of the pit of despair. And I will forever praise you. Because they went through that moment of chaos and they struggled with God. God is the debate maker. He's big enough to handle it. And the last one, the investor. The investor gives people ownership for the results and invests in their success. Every single one of you has been invested in by God. Jesus, God's only Son, was sent down to this earth to die for you. If that is not an investment, I don't know what is. God doesn't need us, but He chooses to use every single one of us to further the kingdom. It says the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few, and we are these workers. God uses us to further His kingdom by giving us talents and abilities, by coming to us in prayer, being able to talk with Him, giving us challenges. Each and every steps of our lives, He is there. He is present. Everything He has done is a mark of investment in you. And when good things happen, when success happens, we receive the praise. And it is our job to put that praise upwards and thank God for that. God doesn't need us, but He loves us and uses us. And when we say, I'm willing, I'm open, use me, He does. So let's go back to that Colossians passage. 3:23 through 25, and it says, whatever you do, Work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive inheritance as your reward. You're serving the Lord Christ. For the wrongdoer will be paid back for the wrong he has done, and there is no partiality. This is the God that we serve. This is the big boss, the debate maker, the investor, the challenger, the talent magnet, the liberator. How are we not inspired and ready to do his work? Because he wants the best out of us, the best thinking. And how we measure success is all wrong. It says here that we're working for an inheritance, for heaven, for eternal life, and we can bring it here to earth, but we're worried about money and promotions and success. What if we changed success and maybe thought about this next week during work? Maybe we thought, how many people have I helped today? How many people have I gone the extra step for? Maybe how many people have I got to smile or noticed when they're not okay and just offered a kind word and really thought about them? Because as workers, God doesn't play favorites. He sees right into the heart of who we are. We're either a good worker or a bad worker, not perfect. Are we willing or are we not willing? Because we can pretend to all our coworkers, we can say, yeah, I'm willing, I'm going to do everything for God. But you can't hide from him. He's the boss, the big boss, the original boss. And when we are the employees that we're supposed to be, the workers, the kingdom workers, we will bear fruit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. Not only in our personal lives, but our work lives. Are we employees that represent our boss? Because let me tell you something. There are no lukewarm kingdom workers. You're either in or you're out. And you know which one you are. So I want you just to say yes. Look for ways to bring joy to the darkest places, which are oftentimes work, the stress and anxiety. Change it by simple actions and represent the boss, our God. This message is not about you or me, but about the God who we serve. Pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. And we ask that you are all things to us, that you are the challenger, the liberator, the talent magnet, the debate maker, the investor, that we see that we are inspired and we are just in awe of you, that we can worship you and we can give you the highest praise, God. That you have created us and you have put your image in us. Let us represent you, and when we go out from these doors, let us be your people. Let us able to bring joy and love and peace and just goodness. Let us change the world with our actions. Let our hearts be moved. Let us love you and love each other and lift you up and bring you praise and just to be open and willing. God, I thank you for who you are in your Son. I thank you for creating us, for showing us that we are more than we ever thought we could be. In your name we pray together. Amen.